What is going on, guys? My name is SiahZ and welcome to our newly updated critical damage or lightning Huntress build. We made some insane changes overall to the build, doubling our DPS, doing 34 million damage now, which is absolutely insane, shredding pinnacle bosses within a second. Overall, the build feels a lot better to play. We've upgraded our clear as well, being able to clear a lot better because our damage has improved so much. And overall, I'm really happy where the build is currently at. Before we get into it, if you guys do enjoy the videos and you like what I'm doing on the channel, consider hitting a like on the video and a subscribe to the channel. It does help me out immensely. It also does help with YouTube algorithm, and in turn, that is the best way to support me. I also should be live right now streaming on YouTube and Twitch. The link for those will be in the description as well as the comment section of the video. All right, let's get right into it. So the first thing we're going to get into here is the gear. So first up, on our crossbow, we have upgraded it. We're looking still for very high accuracy rating with high level to projectile skills. And then honestly, we want to try to roll crit damage bonus on there as well. Since, we went ahead and fixed the critical issues that we were having with crit chance, with just running on the back bar, a wand in the effigy of cruelty shield, which obviously we'll get in after the gear. We'll go to the back bar and explain that. So we have our crit chance fixed. So that's why we want to start stacking crit damage now to achieve a lot higher, damage overall. Obviously, if you can get those modifiers and then honestly try to look for like physical damage, it's decent, very high added like lightning damage, attack speed, anything else on top of what I said earlier is what we're going to be looking for in a crossbow. For our helmet, we're still running the deepest tower. It just gives so much damage overall to the build, and it's like the best in slot we can run here. So basically the way the helmet works is any enemies inside that green circle that you see there, that's our presence range. So if they're in that, they'll be counted as being on low life. Obviously there's tons of stuff on the tree that count enemies on low life, you get like 30% more damage. All hits are lucky against enemies on low life, etc. There's overall just such a damage and DPS increase that running this helmet is just a no-brainer in my opinion. So that's why we run it in this case. As for rings, we are looking for like lightning damage, increased lightning damage, and then honestly we do need to have intelligence on both rings so we can get to that like intelligence to run connectivity, ball lightning, orbital storms, etc. And then if we can roll very high accuracy rating, obviously to give us a better crit chance overall is what we want to look for. Now if you can fix your reses in other areas, then obviously you can roll this off of the ring, so this way you can get a much better ring overall. That's what I did here for the prismatic, just so we can get more damage overall on it. Obviously we'd want to roll a breach instead of prismatic here, but in whatever you can get with the rolls to be the highest, obviously go for. But a breach would be best in slot. For the other ring, we're still running it on set. I mean, I don't think we're really going to get a breach ring that's going to give us more damage than being able to run emergency reload on the build. So that's why we have it on set here. Again, we want to look for lightning damage, high accuracy and intelligence, and if we can obviously go for increased lightning damage. Those are going to be like the best stats overall for DPS, and it's going to give us much more damage overall to the build. For the amulet, we can now actually drop spirit because we're not running the tame beast anymore. We're actually running war banner, and war banner is only 30 spirit. Obviously if you want to run the increased spirit, you can try to get one and then just throw in like herbalism or vitality, cannibalism, something like that. But since we don't have the like extra skill slot, whatever you want to call it, to run like ghost dance or another spirit or reservation skill, that's why I kind of dropped it here. But we are able to drop it here and then look for obviously plus level to projectile skills. Gives us a lot more damage overall with high rolled strength if we can, and any resistances to be res capped. Looking for also really high increased maximum energy shield, and then if anything else you can roll on here that'll be more beneficial, go for it, like increased evasion rating, high accuracy, crit damage, crit chance, etc. For the body armor, we're still looking for a sleek jacket or just a very high like hybrid base with high evasion rating and energy shield with resistances if we can, just so we can have an overall decent energy shield pool with evasion rating overall to the build. For the gloves, obviously same thing, we're looking for very high evasion rating. Now you can either look for evasion rating gloves and boots or hybrid gloves and boots, whatever works here. Just make sure that you get them highest rolled as possible. For the gloves, we do want to look for crit damage bonus, attack speed, and then obviously like high accuracy rating, and then any resistances after that. This is going to give us a lot of overall DPS to the build, so that's why we look for that there. Again, for the boots, same thing, move speed, resistances, and then just high evasion rating, and or if you go on hybrid, you'd look for a high energy shield and evasion rating roll. It's just when I was looking at the market, the hybrid ones were really expensive and they weren't offering the resistances that we needed, and it was just kind of getting to the point where I was like, maybe dropping 100 energy shield and getting 4% more chance to evade is better off here. So that's why I went ahead and just decided to go for full evasion rating gloves and boots instead of hybrid, but you guys can do what you want. For the belt, again, we're running utility. I just like that percent flash recovered applied instantly to us. It feels really nice when mapping and stuff like that to get the mana or health back, instantly, and just feels a lot better overall for like quality of life. Still looking for strength, obviously, and any resistances we need to actually be res capped, and that's pretty much what we're doing there for a belt. For the back bar, like I said, we're running a wand, looking for increased crit chance for spells, and then increased chance to shock. This is overall going to just give us a way better chance of shocking with ball lightning. If you can roll anything for damage, like increased lightning damage, damages extra lightning damage, spell damage, you know, level to spells or lightning spells, anything like that, obviously to give more damage to the spell is going to be better. So this way it'll have a better time applying shock. But honestly, you know, the crit chance and chance of shock is the most important stats. Obviously for our offhand, we are running the effigy of cruelty. This is huge for us because obviously our critical hits with spells are now going to be applying critical weakness stacks. And for those of you that don't know what critical weakness does, basically each stack is going to apply a 0.5% to crit chance, and that's to the base. So max stacks, obviously at 20, we're going to have 10% base crit chance added to our stuff, which is insane. That's so much overall DPS of the build, and it allows our crit chance to be a lot higher. So this way we can reach that 34 million damage. For our skill gems, we're obviously running Shock Burst, highest level with quality. We are running Martial Tempo here to have more attack speed with the skill. Concentrated effect for more area damage, since Shock Burst actually counts as an AoE skill. Then we're going to go Execute, obviously since our helmet is going to be counting enemies on low life. This is just going to give us 50% more damage with hits, so it's insane. Fresh Clip, obviously for 1% more damage for each bolt reloaded in the past 6 seconds, allows us to ramp the damage up really quickly and get a lot of increased damage overall to the skill. And then finally, Elemental Focus for that 25% more elemental damage. Now, when we're mapping with Galvanic Shards, obviously we want to have as high level with quality. I need to buy a new one here that's actually 5 length, but we're going to be throwing Martial Tempo into this. We can just gem swap back and forth, you know, Galvanic and then to Shock Burst, etc. This is going to give it a lot more damage, and it feels a lot better while mapping with that attack speed increase. We are running Gamble Shot as the next link here. This is just going to have our projectile skills to have a chance of either forking, chaining, or piercing. This is better, and it does allow us to have more damage than running like Fork, since it's 15% less damage. With Fork, I think it's 30% less, so on average this is just more damage, and it feels pretty good for clearing stealth, so that's why I run it. Then we're running Primal Armament, obviously for 25% more weapon elemental damage, and then I have Bullseye on here for more accuracy rating, have a better crit chance at range and stuff like that. For connectivity, obviously highest level you can, going up to, you know, obviously what in you have, and then with quality, running Curse Ground, have, you know, basically turning it into like an AoE skill that'll just stay there for a duration. With Heightened Curse to have more magnitude of it, so this way we'll reduce the resistances even further. Then Ritualistic Curse to have an increased area of effect of it. The running Voltaic Mark, level does not do anything for this, so I just leave it on level 8, lowest possible, obviously. Throw in quality because that will give an increased effect of the mark, and then persistence on it to have an increased skill effect duration. Then we're running Orb of Storms. This is going to be the main way that we are going to be getting rage and stuff like that for bossing. And since we are running the effigy of cruelty, this will allow us to get, you know, this critical stacks of weakness and spell crits and all that really fast, since each time we use a lightning skill, bolts will fire off from this and hit enemies. To run this, obviously going with Font of Rage to get our rage, Font of Mana to have better mana regen, and then lastly I throw Magnified Effect on here so the range is bigger. Then we are running War Banner. This is just going to give us 6% more attack damage, and it's just such a huge amount of DPS increase. Like, the amount of damage that this gives us at max stacks since we throw it down to a boss is insane, and it's a lot more damage than Tame Beast. Running like a Quadrillo with Haste Aura, and you don't have to farm it, obviously, less headache. That's why we've run it here. No supports that really do anything at the current state for War Banner, so I just leave everything off there. Herald of Thunder, obviously highest level we can with quality, going with Enervate to have more lightning damage when we kill a shocked enemy. Lightning Pen, so the bolts will obviously pen through lightning resistances. Lightning Infusion to have more lightning damage to the skill. And then finally Long Shot, since the bolts will be going away from us, so Long Shot will be giving that more damage to kill. Wind Dancer, obviously, so this way we can actually get more evasion rating per stage, and it helps with survivability. Then we do have 10 additional spirit, so might as well throw precision on there for increased accuracy rating, which means more crit chance from our ascendancy. Ball Lightning, I throw quality on this, obviously highest level we can with quality, and then Conduction to have more chance to shock, Overcharge to have a bigger magnitude of shock with lightning exposure on it, so this way we can bring down the lightning resistances even further, and then Strip Away, so it'll be an increased effect of our exposure we apply, so less lightning resistance on the enemy means more damage. Then we get onto our set ring. We're going to throw Emergency Reload in here. That's 30% more damage. Then we throw Premeditation, which is 15% more damage when it's like skill empower something. So this is going to be in total 45% more damage, which is insane. And then we finally throw Ingenuity to have less cooldown on it so we can use it more often. Real quick, for the Ball Lightning, you want to set that on weapon set 2, so it'll be on our wand and our Effigy of Cruelty shield for the critical stacks of weakness. Same thing with Orb of Storms on weapon set 2. And yeah, you're good to go there for gems. So for the Ascendancy, what we're going to basically be doing is still going into Critical Strike. This just allows, you know, our excess chance to hit 25% of that will be added as our critical hit chance. And basically the way that works, if we take a look here at our shock burst rounds, for example, you can see at the bottom here, it says estimated main hand critical hit chance from hit chance. We have 59.3%, and then it says 92.8. That just correlates to the different like ranges. So 2 meter, 5 meter, 9 meter. So obviously at 2 meter, that's going to be 92%. And then at the 9 meter range, that's going to be 59. So the way this works, basically, we'll just say that the 2 meter range, instead of 92, it's 100%. That basically means it's going to double our crit chance. So we're going to go from 15.4 to 30 point whatever. And that's the way it works there. So it just allows us to get a lot of crit chance, and that's why we run the stacks of critical weakness with the effigy of cruelty. So this way we can basically get like 60 to 70% crit chance, and it just allows us to have a lot more damage. That's why we do that. Then we're going to go into penetrate, because 25% of the accuracy rating on our weapon, and since we're getting high accuracy rating and accuracy runes, it's going to be added as physical damage, and we're going to get a lot of overall damage. So that's why we do that. We're going to be going into predatory instinct, because 50% more damage with enemies against an open weakness is insane. It's a lot more damage, and it feels really good, especially against pinnacle bossing. And then finally we go in for the kill for that 40% increased skill speed with an enemy with an open weakness in your presence. So again, overall, way more attack speed, way more damage, and it just feels really nice for pinnacle bossing. For our tree, we're still going down into primal instinct for the attack speed, eagle eye for the increased accuracy rating, coming down. And since we have deepest tower, we're going to split off here, go down and go into these damage against enemies on the life nodes, going into obviously stars aligned. Damage with hits is lucky against enemies that are on the life. Massive for us, a lot of DPS increase. Then obviously finishing blows is 60% increased damage with hits against enemies on the life, and then we just take all the other ones, because overall a huge amount of increased damage here, which is insane. Then from there, we're going to come back, go into precision salvo. I mean, you get attack speed, increased accuracy rating, like it's really good overall cluster, so I might as well take that. Then we get into cooked. We're going to take the right side for the crit chance, and I mean, cooked is just really good for crit damage increase, so that's why we take it there. Overall, a lot of DPS of the build. Going in and taking catalyst for that increased elemental damage with attacks. Still taking with weapon set 1 point stand and deliver. Coming down and with weapon set 2, since this is set to our like ball lightning for shock application, orb storms, etc. We're going to be going in and taking like frazzled for increased magnitude of shock, going in rattled for increased shock duration. Then with weapons at 1 point, we'll be going into maiming strike for that increased attack damage, and attacks have a chance to maim on hit, which is nice. From there, we're going to come down, and with weapons at 1 point, go into acceleration. The increased skill speed obviously correlates to like attack speed and stuff like that, so overall a lot of damage there. And then we'll be going into Falcon Dive, because we have obviously a lot of accuracy ratings, so we're going to be getting a good amount of attack speed added to the build because of that. So that's why we take that with weapons at 1 point. From there, with our main points, we're going to come down and take this jewel socket, and I'll get into the jewels and all that after we get into the skill tree and we get that done. So from there, we're going to go into Coming Calamity. This is going to give us 50% increased lightning damage while affected by a Herald of Thunder. And obviously, we want to have a really big, min to max lightning damage roll. Since with stars aligned, all of our hits are lucky, which means we'll roll twice on that damage number value. So the bigger the maximum, the more damage overall that is going to actually give us. So that's why we want to go in the Coming Calamity. From there, we're going to be going up and going into this crit cluster with Heartbreaking for that increased crit damage bonus, Heart Stopping for that increased crit chance, and the Intelligence and Strength these both give is really nice. And then Struck Through obviously is 1% more crit chance added to the base. From there, we're going to be going into Enhanced Reflexes. The increased evasion rating and the increased percent dex is really nice for the build. And then we'll be going obviously Beastable Skin, 100% increased evasion rating from body armor, huge amount of evasion chance increase. Now I do take these 3 nodes here for proficiency and the dex and all that, just because it's a lot of dex, and it helps us get to that like 151 range and stuff like that to run level 16, level 17 dex skills. From there, we're going to be going up and taking this jewel cluster, or this jewel socket, and going all the way up, and then we're going to be coming down actually and going in these lightning pen nodes and 2 exposed to the storm. It's really nice, gives us like 30% lightning pen, increased crit chance against exposure, increased lightning damage, etc. So it's really good there. From there, we go over here with weapons at 1 point, going into Spectral Ward. Obviously, a lot of increased, maximum energy shield per evasion rating on body armor, which is nice. And then obviously the notes before it are increased evasion rating and energy shield. Adds overall a lot of survivability to the build, which is nice. From there, with main points, take the Jewel Socket. And then we're finally going to be heading up, taking True Strike for the increased crit chance and dex. For the Jugular, obviously increased crit damage bonus and intelligence. And then finally these 3 nodes over here we take, because this is like 70% or something like that increased damage, and we got a crit in the past 8 seconds, which is huge. And then obviously the increased crit chance is really nice as well on Deadly Force. From there, with weapons set 2 points, we're going to be coming down and taking, General Electric for that increased chance to shock. And then finally, Harmonic Generator, because the increased magnitude of shocks with crits is nice. And since obviously we're critting a bunch, this is allowing us to get like basically 100% shock magnitude. And then the ones before that are increased shock magnitude. Finally, we're going to be coming down with the remaining points and going into Unbound Forces for even more magnitude of shock that we're going to be inflicting, which is really nice. This way, like I said, we can reach that 100% shock magnitude on bosses. So this way we get so much overall DPS added to the build. Now for jewels, we are going to be running a controlled Metamorphosis with a massive ring here, right on this jewel socket near the critical cluster at the top of the tree. This is going to allow us to basically go ahead and grab Wildstorm, save 2 points there. Obviously Wildstorm is more maximum lightning damage, which helps us with the lucky hits. Then we're going to be taking Moment of Truth, obviously, more crit chance, huge. And then finally, we're taking a Staggering Palm for, again, more crit damage bonus. It's huge. Now, we are running a Against the Darkness here with damages extra lightning damage. That's the main thing we want to look for. This is going to allow each of these notables to give us this. And overall, it is a lot of DPS added to the build, so that's why we run it here. And then the only other unique one that I am running is a From Nothing with Unwavering Stance on it. Now, the reason why we want Unwavering Stance is because any like passive tree in the circle you see here near Unwavering Stance, we can basically go ahead and allocate. So going in for these nodes here is just so much increased damage with enemies against hits with enemies against on low life. So overall, a ton of DPS increase for the build. And I don't think there is a better From Nothing jewel that we can get that'll actually give more damage than these 3 points here. So that's why I go ahead and take that. And then finally, for the 1 emerald that we're running, just looking for a high crit damage bonus on there. If we can, damage with crossbows, damage with hits against rare unique enemies or attack speed, anything like that is overall going to be really good for the emerald jewel here. And that pretty much covers it for the jewels that we're running on the tree. But that's it for this video. Like I said, the build's amazing right now. 34 million damage, shredding pinnacle boss in a second. Great clear, good survivability. Overall, I'm really happy at where it builds at. And I hope you guys really do enjoy it as well. But if you guys did enjoy the video and you're liking what I'm doing on my channel, if you consider hitting a like on the video and a subscribe to the YouTube channel, it does help me out immensely. It also helps the YouTube algorithm. And in turn, that is the best way to support me. Also should be live right now, streaming on YouTube and Twitch. The link for those will be in the description as well as the comment section of the video. But I hope you guys have a great rest of your day or night, depending when you're watching the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.